Hi, I'm Sonya White Jaguar. Welcome to White Jaguar Weekend Read, my weekly audiobook series. Today I'm reading my free book, Alan Rickman on Love, a channeled commentary. Introduction. Inspiration for this book arose in fall 2022 as Madly Deeply, the Diaries of Alan Rickman was soon to be published. When the announcement stated that the diaries would purportedly let us into Alan's mind, I sensed that something was missing from the book. My intuition proved to be correct when I read diary excerpts in the media, along with critical comments from reviewers and disappointed readers. While our mind helps us to process our experiences, we truly find meaning in our heart. Alan's diaries indeed provide intriguing sketches of the actor's life events, but they don't reveal the perspective from his heart after the fact, once he'd had time to fully process those events and elaborate on his notes. It's a pity that Alan didn't write something while he was living. He was an intelligent man and a brilliant artist with a sharp wit. He would have made a beautiful poet. Love is at the heart of Alan's current work as a guide, healer, and teacher across dimensions, where love is the answer. I've been working with Alan since his death in 2016. Now he's helping me to write mystical love stories which contain spiritual truths at their core. Alan asked me to create love stories because, quite simply, he enjoys romances. They can be inspirational and comforting during difficult times, plus he knows that the heart yearns for love. There's a reason that romance is the best-selling genre in the publishing industry. Because Alan didn't have the opportunity in life to edit his diaries or publish his own work, I asked him if he would now like to write something of his own about love. He agreed. Several evenings in October 2022, I sat at my computer and talked with Alan at length, asking him questions and typing his responses. I gave him the space to say whatever he wanted. He impressed me with a frank discussion about his love of life, romantic love, and love in the higher dimension. The following channeled commentary is the result. This is Alan Rickman on love. Love of life. I said, "So tell me about your life as Alan Rickman. What did you love?" Alan said, "Where shall I start? Well, you know I love to travel. There was a road I used to know, not a wooded road, but a well-traveled urban lane that was long and narrow. I used to pass the shops all around with the bustle of people going to and fro. I was one of them. I loved that lane, downtown alone on a lazy afternoon. It's difficult to explain, but I felt connected to the city. The city was a part of my heart, and I left a piece of my heart there, too. That's one of the reasons I can do what I'm doing now, offering myself as a teacher and guide. I never lost my connection to the physical world. It's still in my heart and deeply ingrained in my soul, largely because of my connection to city life. I'll tell you a little about my career as an actor. This helped me to open my heart, and this is relevant to our discussion here. I don't think about it as much now that I'm out of the physical world, but I still look back fondly as I know what I meant to so many and how I was able to contribute to the world through that work. While I loved the work, I had a love-hate relationship with the theater and storytelling in general. I admired the theater and its capacity to help people find their voice and to tell the truth in a way that people would understand. That I loved. But other aspects, directors, other actors, political games, all the nonsense, sometimes it was wildly absurd. Sometimes it was peaceful and sublime. I learned to find comfort in what I did and what the theater became for me. It was a home away from home. I said, "It sounds like you found the closest thing to love in the theater." Alan said, "Yes and no. I wanted to do more. I wanted the theater to do and be more. It had its limits. I wanted more than what it was capable of. I went through a lot of highs and lows in this life, as most people do. I wasn't somehow different because I worked in the theater or made movies. You need to understand that. There were times that I had no idea what I was doing and wanted to tell the world I was through with it all, acting, everything. I was tired of doing things for other people. I wanted to go away and live for myself. I wanted out of the spotlight. It was all a made-up game to me and a crapshoot. I was human. I had to make decisions that were difficult and kept me up at night. I did the best I could. I tried not to dwell on the past and let things be. I couldn't change something once it was done. I struggled with that, but for the most part, I was happy. I found happiness in the incongruity of life. because I knew I was only one small part of something that was much, much larger than myself. I said, I think you were very grounded, keeping a level head on your shoulders, despite the chaos it sounds like you were dealing with. Alan said, music was helpful to me. I loved music. Another time and place. How a song can bring you back to reality if you've wandered far away, and how it can take you back to another time and place that you once knew so well and now seems so unfamiliar. But the music lives on, past its prime, like us, and visits us when we least expect it sometimes, to remind us of where we've been and what we've yet still to do. Music always dragged me onward, forward to my next place. And then I would rest there for a while and ponder things. I was always pondering things while listening to music. I liked the time alone to be with my thoughts. Music helped me find that place where everything and nothing exists at once. I found love at the center of that. I said, while I can't relate to acting, I can relate to your love of music. As you know, music is one of my first loves from childhood. At this point, Alan guided me by muscle testing to a song in my music collection on my computer called Bittersweet Symphony, 1997, by The Verve. As discussed in part 3 of my 5-part video series about ways to communicate with Alan, music is a common way for him to convey messages. Thanks to a music collector friend who gifted me with an extensive music archive that spans more than 60 years, Alan and I often play songs for each other while working on the computer. Over the years, I've learned a great deal about Alan through music. When I played Bittersweet Symphony, the track sounded vaguely familiar, so I must have heard it when it came out, but otherwise it meant nothing to me. When I looked it up, I learned that it's considered to be a defining Britpop song. I'm a diehard fan of classic rock from the 1970s and 1980s, so I don't listen to much music from the 1990s onward. Alan said, I resonated with this song. They were singing about life. It comforted me at a time of loss. I saw my life as a bittersweet symphony. I was caught in the rat race, trying to earn a living, being a slave to money, like so many people. I found myself asking questions like, what's it all for? You die in the end. I often questioned myself, my motives, what I wanted in life. I didn't know what I wanted, really. I don't know that I ever figured it out. But I carried on because I knew there was more good I could do, and I didn't know how to stop. It was all I knew to do, I suppose. My love bore me through this. I said, what do you mean when you say my love bore me through this? What kind of love are you referring to? Romantic love? Spiritual love? Alan said, I mean the love at the core of the being. I'm referring to self-love, ultimately. Somehow that saved me when I was at my lowest lows. I felt it all, self-loathing, self-doubt, even self-fear. By some miracle, I was able to tap into self-love when I needed it most. I said, do you think that being an actor helped you with that? Your training as an actor, helping you to tap into emotions deep inside you, that sort of thing? Alan said, yes and no. I had a good support system around me, so I never fell too deep down the hole. I always managed to climb back out when I was at my worst. I want you to understand that I was an ordinary person with needs and wants like everybody else. I felt love, exhilaration, pain, sorrow, joy. I was no different than you. I said, I understand that. Thank you for being so frank with me. I agree that self-love is very important. Alan said, self-love is critical. Nothing else matters without that. I can talk about the love of acting, theater roles, love of family, love of anything in particular, but without self-love, the rest can create a hollow feeling inside. Instead of filling you up, it leaves you dry and empty, and you end up going on a quest, trying to fill yourself up. That leads some people to dangerous places. I said, how do you find self-love or learn self-love? Or is it innate, where all we need to do is activate it? It's an important question because many people may appear happy, but inside they're suffering. Alan said, self-love starts with compassion. Compassion for yourself and others. I can't overemphasize this point. Recognize and accept that you're not perfect. No one is. Most people are just doing the best they can with what they've got, which isn't much when you consider the lack of adequate coping skills most people are taught. The first step is to realize this. We all can be very hard on ourselves and on one another. Replacing the criticism with compassion is the beginning of wisdom and self-love. Letting go of old hurts is another key. I see too many people clinging to the past. This is especially clear to me here in the higher dimension, where I have a broader perspective. I know that no one likes to hear it doesn't matter, but from my vantage point, I have to tell you that it's true. One of the first things you'll let go of at death is your story, the inner program that's been running in the background in your mind. As you know, I had resisted going into the light at first, so that release of my story didn't happen all at once in a dramatic flourish. But once I left my hiding place, I began to change and eventually saw things from a greater perspective. This is what ultimately allowed me to step into the role of a guide and help a wide range of people. Souls come to Earth to help one another. I cannot impress that point on you more strongly. Our relationships are meant to help us. When we have self-love, then we are best equipped to help others. The nature and quality of our relationships will improve when we love ourselves. Earth is a challenging place for relationships. While self-love should be innate and therefore our natural expression, it requires a regular, rigorous practice to activate it. Just take it one day at a time. Acknowledge the desire to change and notice your state of mind throughout the day. Are you present or is your mind wandering? Are you peaceful, grateful, moody, distracted? What triggers you? Jot down these experiences in a journal for a while, then look back at your notes every few weeks or months. Listen to the story you're telling yourself. Your words will provide insight that I think you will find enlightening. Closing my eyes, I felt into Alan's heart for a moment. I said, I see you at the end of this life, a battered old man, your body riddled with cancer. I feel your broken heart, your sorrow, your tears. Alan said, I felt it all slipping away, so softly, so quietly, as if it had never been there in the first place. It was all a dream. That's how it felt when I died, solemn and quiet in the doorway between worlds. It didn't matter who came calling. I wasn't ready to go. I wanted to stay because I felt I had more still to do. I don't know what. It was a fool's errand, of course, but that didn't change my thoughts. When I felt someone grieving for me, what I wanted most of all was to hold their hands. I wanted to tell them that all was okay, that all was as it should be. When they cried for me, I couldn't stop their tears. How I longed to tell them the truth. Do you know how it feels to scream through a barrel and not make a sound? That's how I felt in those moments. I just wanted to cry myself to sleep, but I didn't know how anymore, not without a physical body. I was alone and afraid. It felt like impending doom, like an invisible vice was tightening around me and I couldn't escape. I thought the light was mocking me. It wasn't, but that's how I felt. It was my way of pushing it away and justifying my stubbornness. I wanted things my way. I wasn't ready to go, and nobody was going to make me go. I was so stubborn. I said, that's the power your love of this life had over you. Alan said, indeed, you're exactly right. I struggled to let it go. Love can make you do strange things. There was a time in my life when I felt alone and afraid. That's how I felt when I died, too. Funny how we come full circle. I never learned to find God in the center of it all. I never came to a spiritual understanding, not like I have now. I said, how do you feel about your life now? What kind of spiritual understanding have you come to? Alan said, I have vastly different feelings about my life now. What had seemed so senseless at the time now holds great meaning to me. I saw how I was changing every day, changing with everything I undertook, with the money I was earning and the trips I took to meet people and see projects unfold. I see a symmetry in my life that wasn't clear when I was living it. I understand why I made certain choices, why certain things triggered me, and why I wanted the world to be different. I'm at peace now. I hadn't found peace while I was living. I said, unfortunately, many people don't find peace. I'm glad that you found peace now. I think that will be a great comfort to readers, to know that peace awaits us in the higher dimension. Alan said, I was open to that when I took a good look at my life choices. I saw my life for what it was, an amalgam of choices. I looked at it calmly with no judgment. I was oddly silent, just taking it all in. I still am, I suppose. I haven't fully processed and integrated my life experiences, not yet. I'm still working on it. The ending of that life didn't bring it all to a sudden close. You need to realize that. Death is an ending and a new beginning. We still have work to do after a life has ended. Processing and coming to an understanding continue. Okay, I'll stop there for today. Join me next week for the conclusion. I'll read Alan's comments on romantic love and love in the higher dimension. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, so you'll be notified when the next video is posted. You can also sign up for my newsletter on my website, sonyawhitejaguar.com, and get notified that way. I send out newsletters twice a month. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.